Good morning. Today I'm going to talk about perfectly imperfect. He keeps talking to me about perfectly imperfect. And I'm just going to talk to you from my heart. Many times Christians don't say saved because of this little secret. And this little secret has saved me time and time and again. Perfectly imperfect. And the Bible is full of beautiful stories of perfectly imperfect people. And Jesus Christ died on the cross, and we all know this because we are perfectly imperfect. And we could never do it on our own strength. And the only way to live in His strength and His ability is to understand that we are perfectly imperfect. And to rely on Him for the ability to do the changes that need to happen in each one of us. And so I always go to the Old Testament is like the platform to the New Testament. And so it's a beautiful analogy of people that loved the Lord and that served Him and believed in Him and trusted Him, and yet their lives weren't perfect, and yet God did supernatural things through their lives in each and every one of them. And that's our example, that He can come in, and even in our perfectly imperfectness, He can produce supernatural things, and we can do supernatural acts even in our perfectly imperfectness. And so, of course, I'm going to take you to Hebrews 11 because it's full of Moses and Abraham. Now, Abraham left everything he knew and walked in complete faith. And every step he took was a step of faith. And he went to a whole different country. And when God told him to stop, he stopped. And he knew that God picked the place that he was to live. And yet his life wasn't perfect. Because, of course, he had Ishmael and, that whole thing. And then David, God set him up as king. And yet, he wasn't caught in adultery. He murdered a man. He was, he was perfectly imperfect. Samson, the strongest man in the whole Bible, he loved foreign women. And it was his downfall. And yet, that very thing that brought him down was the very thing that brought him to victory. And so, I want to talk to you about trusting the Lord even in your weaknesses, and pursuing Him with a fire and a passion regardless of your imperfections, and trusting Him and let Him work through those imperfections and bring an increase in your life, and trusting Him to bring you to the place you need to be, and that you push back past everything on the outside that's a weakness to you and everything on the inside that's a weakness to you, and you get a hold of Him and you refuse to let go, and let Him bring you to destiny and purpose. Perfectly imperfect. Now, it says that a good man falleth down 7 times. I love that. Because it was a good man. Abraham was a good man, but he fell down. David was a good man, but he fell down. But the Lord upholdeth him. And the secret is that you get up. And then you still pursue Him. Perfectly imperfect. I love that. Don't let anything keep you from your destiny and purpose. Especially those weaknesses on the outside and those weaknesses on the inside. And trust God to bring the change. And thank Him for Him and believe Him for Him. And He'll bring you to destiny and purpose. Perfectly imperfect.